Alexander Volkanovski has lost his title to Ilia Topuria at UFC 298. It was quite hard to watch if you are a fan of mixed martial arts, whether you're an Ilia fan or not. I think it was probably hard to watch. Alexander Volkanovski has never been knocked out in his career and has now been knocked out twice in a row. First by Islam Makhachev in October and now by Ilia Topuria at featherweight. What's next for Alexander Volkanovski? I do not know. I genuinely do not know. Does he take a break? Because let's be real, Volk is a tank. I think it was 9 fights he had at featherweight for like championship fights at featherweight. He had, I think it was 8 title defenses. I don't have that up here. I think it was 8 title defenses. That's a lot. He is, in my opinion, the greatest featherweight in UFC history. Better than Jose Aldo, better than Conor McGregor, doesn't matter. He's the best. He's number one. Better than Max. Alexander Volkanovski is number one. He deserves an immediate rematch. You'd be silly to argue with that. Alexander Volkanovski should fight Ilia Topuria for the belt again. That is the immediate move. But he has spoken about going up to lightweight. Now, what do you do about that? Well, I don't know, because he's fought Islam Makhachev twice for the belt now. Divisions have to move. He's lost twice. And in saying that divisions have to move, having a rematch at featherweight would be a move going against the fact that the division has to move. Do you know what I mean? But I do think he deserves it. You can't deny Volk a title shot, an immediate rematch title shot. Just because of the legend that he is. But what does he do personally? I don't know. I have a feeling, Volk's got that aura, like that attitude, like he can't be away from fighting. He can't just go away when, he has to bounce back. But I don't know. I just hope that he takes some time off a little bit just to regather himself, because, Volk, before the last Islam fight, the second one, he was in his prime. Let's be real. Everyone knew that. Everyone knew this. He was in his prime. He was beating people left, right, and center, dominating people. He dominated Yair Rodriguez. He in my opinion, beat Islam. Well, not beat Islam, but it was very close with Islam in the first fight. The guy went toe to toe with the pound for pound number one with a normal camp. Yes, he got knocked out in the second fight. I get it. But that was on 11 days notice or 8 days notice, whatever it was. The guy's a good fighter. He's just been in a very unfortunate position where in his past 2 fights, it hasn't gone his way in a big way. So I don't know what's next for Alexander Volkanovski, to be honest. I do think he deserves an immediate rematch. Will he get it? Only time will tell. But for now, let's celebrate a new champion. I think Ilia Topuria is the real deal. He talked the talk and he walked the walk. Let's be very real. You need to give him credit where credit is due. He said what he was going to do. And don't let me get ahead of myself here, but obviously I've got that Irish flag behind me there. Where is it? There, whatever. I'm the Conor McGregor fan in mixed martial arts. He's my hero. He's my number one. But I am seeing signs of early Conor McGregor in the UFC. He talks the talk against a long-standing featherweight champion, Jose Aldo and Alexander Volkanovski, and he comes in there and takes his belt in spectacular fashion. Conor was 13 seconds. Ilia was second-round knockouts. It's showing very large similarities than, of Conor versus Aldo. And I do think Ilia Topuria is a real deal. That has to be said. I think Ilia Topuria is a generational talent, and I don't ever say that lightly in MMA. I don't say that often. I don't think a lot of people say that often. But yeah, you have to give him his credit. He said so much and he backed it all up. He put in his bio, Instagram bio, 15-0 UFC featherweight champion 2 weeks before the fight, and he hasn't had to change it. So, respect to Ilia Topuria. I think, it was a spectacular finish for him. I think, he's got the skill. He's got the aura about him. That you're already talking about him fighting in the Bernabeu of all places, in his next fight. Like the Santiago Bernabeu, that's ridiculous. If Ilia Topuria is that big of a draw that he can fight in Real Madrid Stadium in Spain, then he's the real deal. That is like Conor selling out stadiums back in 2015, 14. Like that's real deal type stuff. But yeah, I think you've got to give him his credit. Other stuff in UFC 298. Ian Gary won again, my Irish guy, and I'm so sick of seeing all this hate on social media. It's just so childish. Like, okay, it was cool for a week. It was funny for a week to poke fun at him, and it's not just because he's an Irish guy and whatever, but he's such a talented fighter and he's a good guy. Yet people still keep going off, and I know it's more going after his girlfriend, or wife, or whatever. Leave the guy alone, like he's a good guy. He's doing good fights, he didn't look happy at the press conference and his post-fight interview, he's an up-and-coming star, he's, in my opinion, going to be champion one day. Just watch him come up. Don't put the guy down. I just don't get it, but he won on decision. Excuse me. He won a decision against Jeff Neal. And that's actually what I want to talk about. One of the judges, I can't remember who it was. I have a feeling it was Sal D'Amato. I'm not too sure though. Don't quote me on that. Scored the fight 30-27 to Jeff Neal. In what world is that a 30-27 to Jeff Neal? Ian Gary dominated him. Like, it wasn't even like a 29-28 to Jeff Neal. It wasn't even close to that. Like, it was 30-27 every round. Every judge should have been 30-27. It was 10-9, 10-9, 10-9. That's how I scored it. And that's how a lot of people scored it. The fact you get 30-27, that's a bit worrying, But yeah, Ian Gary won. Rob Whittaker beat Paulo Costa, which was pretty cool. That was a very good fight as well. Very good co-main going into the main event. Face value, Rob looked like the loser of that fight, but he won on decision. He had a bloody nose. He was limping at the end of it, but he got the job done. And he is most likely next in line for the belt. If you're being reasonable, there's rumors of Izzy versus Hamzat for, I think, September, which would be a mental fight. I have seen a lot of real news and fake news about that fight, but it would be a mental fight nonetheless. And then you've got Drickus at the top. So I don't think Sean Strickland gets an immediate rematch. Let's all be honest with ourselves, yeah. So I think Rob Whittaker will fight for the belt next. If it's not Izzy or Hamzat. Because that's actually what I thought they were going to do. I thought they were going to have a middleweight title fight for the main event of UFC 300, which, speaking of UFC 300, main event finally got announced. It is Alex Pereira versus Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill. Look, it's a good fight. Let's be real. These are two big light heavyweights, hard hitters, different style strikers, but very good strikers in their own right. I do think Alex Pereira wins. Early prediction. I just think he's different, man. I really do. He is, in my opinion, one of the faces of the UFC at the moment. He deserves to be headlining UFC 300, but I don't know if it's how do I say this? An exciting fight as it could have been, if that makes sense. You know, like Jamal Hill was coming off injury. So if you don't know about Jamal Hill, he won the belt. It was January 2023. And he vacated the title in November last year or October last year because he had tore his Achilles. And that's an injury that a lot of people don't come back from. So the fact that he's already coming back from it is quite something. But I wish him the best of luck. I think he's a good fighter. I think he deserved to win the belt when he won the belt. But I think Alex Pereira does beat him. Let's be real. Alex Pereira is different. But that is the main event at UFC 300. It's looking like a good card, man. It is. You know, you've got so you've got Alex Pereira and Jamal Hill. Then you've got Zhang Weili versus Zhao Jianan. You've got the BMF, Gaethje and Holloway, Sterling and Qatar, Prohaska and Rakic, Harrison versus Holly Holm. You've got a good card there, man. I think. Oh, and Charles Oliveira. I forgot about Charles Oliveira's fighting as well. I don't even know who's fighting. Oh, he's fighting Oman Suzukian. Suzukian. I don't know how to say his name. But he's fighting him. It will do. It will do. I think UFC 299 is a better card. But we'll get to that close to the time. 299 is still a month away. 300, 2 months away. So, worry about that then. But I just want to say something quickly about Leon Edwards. So, I don't know if you guys saw, but in the post-fight press conference, Dana White was there. And he had just announced the main event for UFC 300. And he said to the press that he was thankful for Leon Edwards because he was offered 3 fights and he accepted all 3 without hesitation. That is something, okay? Leon Edwards has gone stick over his whole career, when he's been champion or not. Leon Edwards has been in the middle of getting stick online and getting online hate when he's a ridiculously good fighter, a ridiculously good guy, and just, he's a star, you know. He had that amazing first win to get the belt. He defended the belt again when everyone was against him. He pieced up Colby Covington. The guy's a star, okay? But the thing that intrigues me is who were the 3 fighters that he was offered? Like, what? They've been going on about this for a year more, months, you know, about how Bilal Muhammad is definitely next, 100% Bilal Muhammad, you know. And now apparently 3 fighters, and apparently, according to reports, Bilal Muhammad wasn't even one of the 3 that he was offered. Because, okay, look, fair enough, Bilal Muhammad isn't a UFC 300 main eventer, let's be real. But apparently, okay, again, don't quote me on this, but this is what I have read online and on Twitter, you know. But apparently, the 3 fights he was offered were Shavkat Rakhmonov, which would have been a ridiculously good fight. I would have taken that for UFC 300 any day. Islam Makhachev. So Islam would have become double champ if he beat Leon. Again, crazy fight. Like, what? And then the other one was Hamzat Chimaev. So he would have come back down to welterweight. I don't know about that, really. You know, he missed weight in his last welterweight fight. That's the whole reason he went up to middleweight. So I don't know about that one. But imagine Leon versus Shavkat to headline UFC 300. But apparently, Leon said yes to every single one, and there was obviously they couldn't get the fight done. So we've got our main event, and Leon Edwards is not it. But that's enough UFC for one day. You know, we look towards UFC 299, and there's UFC Mexico City this weekend, fight night. It's Brandon Moreno versus Brandon Royval, and I think it's the second time they're fighting. at flyweight. They are the headliners in Mexico City. Should be good. I don't know who's going to win. I think Brandon Moreno's on a bit of a decline. Brandon Royval is still a bit here and there. It could go anywhere, in my opinion, but any MMA fight can, really. But yeah, man, that's enough UFC for one day.